Okay. Be quiet. Right, we'll start here with you. Can you give me the first one's answer? Okay, so you're saying negative 3 in brackets times negative 3 in brackets. What did you say is your final answer? Because this row is continuously talking, so I cannot really hear what you're saying. Positive 9. That is correct. When we are going to calculate these, especially in the sums that we're going to do next, you don't have to show that it's negative 3 times negative 3 or whatever the case might be. You are allowed to do it to show it yourself on the side, but you don't have to do it in the sum. Okay, next one was negative 2 to the power of 3. Did you do any of the homework or nothing? You did this one. That's correct. You get negative 8, but I just want to show you one thing. You got to the right answer. Remember, when the cube is only at 2, there will be a negative, and it will be 2 times 2 times 2. So you get the exact same answer, which is fine. But remember that negative is not part of what is being cubed, because it's not in brackets. Right, so you can mark it right, but just remember the cubing is just a 2. Okay. Negative 4 cubed. Negative 60. Isn't it negative 64? Okay. So Shubu, do you see the difference, what I mean here? Okay, when it's in brackets, it's a whole thing. If it's not in brackets, it's just a number. Okay, there in the textbook, some of your negative, square root of negative 125s might have been changed to cube roots. Okay, I'm going to do both of them. Is there someone that did it the square root of negative 125? Calvin, what's the answer of the square root of negative 125? Okay, no, wait. Square root. That means two of them being multiplied. Well, all your textbooks changed. A cube root, yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll get to the cube root now. I just want us to look at the square root as well. Okay. What would this one's answer be? The square root of negative 125. Square root. Thank you. It will be no solution or non-real. Do you remember we cannot have a square root of a negative answer? Or of a negative value. Alright. Where were you? Of you. Alright. In the textbook, it was the cube root then of negative 125. What is that answer? Negative 5. Okay, I want to get to what Calvin was saying as well. He said it's negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. I just want everyone to be on the same page there. You get to negative 125 by saying negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. But the answer of the cube root of negative 125 is not that. It's only negative 5. You all understand that? Okay, great. Next, square root of 49. 7. F, Zipu. And then what's the answer of negative 4 squared? 16 and negative 2 cubed. Guys, so do you guys see I have the 16 that I got there. That is the plus that I got there. And that is negative 8. Zipu, what is a plus and a minus next to each other? It's a minus. And then what's 16 minus 8? 8. Very good. Do you all understand that? Everyone? Okay, we're going on with you. Negative 3 times cube root of 64. What is the cube root of 64? 8. What did you write there? 8. And you say 8 times 3 is 12. Okay, do you see now why I'm referring to this cube root of negative 125 not being negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5? Because that's the mistake that you guys make. Okay, listen to me. Firstly, this thing is asking for a number, single number, that was multiplied with itself 3 times. Okay, so first off, I don't agree with 8. Because 8 times 8 is already 64. Then you have to multiply it with 8 again. Okay? So that's not the right answer. The answer that will give you 64 if you multiply it 3 times is 4. Alright? But listen now carefully. When I ask for a cube root, what happened to get 64 was 4 times 4 times 4. But that's not what the cube root asks. It asks which number will multiply with itself 3 times to give 64. Do you understand? Okay, so therefore it will be a single number. That's the answer there. It won't be 4 times 4 times 4. It will be 4. Does that make sense? Okay, we remember that. So if you say it's those 3 multiplied with each other, that is 64. So you're saying the cube root, the number that multiplies with itself 3 times to get 64 is 64, which is not true, no? Okay. I know you didn't do it right, but can you help me just to get to the final answer here? What is a negative times a positive then? Negative, and 3 times 4? 12, and that's how we get to negative 12. Do you all understand, grade-8s? Okay, Mcheka. What's the answer of the cube root of negative 27? Negative 3. Okay, what's a negative times a negative? 2 times 3? 6. Okay. Are you all fine with that? Okay, next up, a bigger sum. Negative 5 squared plus negative 3 squared minus negative 2 cubed. Okay, I'm going to stop you there just 1 second before you go on. So although it was not necessary for you to write this, I want you all to look and see what these things meant. Okay, do you see there? Negative 5 squared is negative 5 times 5. We spoke about that yesterday. Negative 3 in brackets squared is negative 3 in brackets times negative 3 in brackets. Negative 2 cubed is negative 2 in brackets times negative 2 in brackets times negative 2 in brackets. Are you all happy with that? You know where it comes from. Okay, so what is the answer of negative 5 times 5? Just 25. Negative 25. And negative 3 times negative 3? It's just a 9. That is that one's plus. You see there? That's the plus. Okay? And then there's that minus. Do you all see it? Because I haven't used it yet, so I can't throw it away. What is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2? Negative 8. Okay. Look here. this plus is this plus. This minus is this minus. Don't throw it away if you have not yet used it. Why didn't I write that plus there? Because we don't have to write the sign when it's positive. But if the sign is negative, then I have to write it as I did it there. Okay. What is a negative and a negative next to each other? It's a positive. So I have negative 25 plus 9 plus 8. Right, so I assume you didn't get the right answer because you said negative 6, ne? But you can help me with this. Right, we take it 2 at a time. Do you see here the signs differ? So what do I do with those two numbers? Do we add the two numbers or do we subtract the two numbers? Subtract. What is 25 minus 9? What's 25 minus 10? So 25 minus 9? 16. Okay. Which number is bigger, the 25 or the 9? The 25. So I keep the 25's sign. And that's how I get negative 16. Do you all understand that? Now let's do the last part. Negative 16 minus 8. Do you see the signs differ? What do I do with the numbers when the signs differ? Can you quickly finish the sum with me? What do we do if the signs differ? Do we add the numbers or subtract the numbers? What's 16 minus 8? Which one is bigger? The 16. Okay, so I keep the 16 sign. And therefore the answer is negative 8. Who got this one right? Put up your hand. Good. You guys need to do this slowly. You need to know your rules very well. Okay. These integers can fool us with the negatives and the positives in between. We've got a set of rules for addition and subtraction, and we've got a set of rules for multiplication and division. Don't confuse the two rules. You have to know, and you must be able to shift from the one to the other. Okay, next. 4 times 4 minus 4, and what's 4 times 4? And 16 minus 4? 12, that's right. Okay, Musa, you are going to do K, but before you do it, I want to ask first. Who got positive 1 at K? Who got negative 1 at K? So there are many of you that didn't you do the sum, or what, are you not putting up your hand, not part of the class? I'll ask again, who got 1? Who got negative 1? Okay. Musa, what does negative 1 squared mean?
Negative 1 in brackets times negative 1 in brackets.
Okay, and what does negative 1 cubed mean?
Negative 1 in brackets times negative 1 in brackets times negative 1 in brackets.
Okay, so I've got that times that, divide by negative 1. Do you agree? Alright, now let's give the answers. What is negative 1 times negative 1? 1. What is negative 1 times negative 1? Times negative 1? Negative 1. And then that one is just divide with negative 1. Eh? A division and a negative doesn't change into something else. Eh? Okay. What is 1 times negative 1? Negative 1. And what is negative 1 divided by negative 1? 1. Good job. Oh, it froze now. Okay, so those of you that got to negative 1, do you see where you made your mistake? Okay. I'll just wait for this thing to unfreeze. Okay, that was what we had to do for homework. There it is, the calculations further. We'll go on now then. Okay, you can draw a line and then, oh, we are going to go on with that activity, but you can draw a line and then you can write a heading, order of operations. It's going to go on in a minute. Who can tell me what the order of operations are? Have you ever heard of order of operations? So what is it? What is the word we use to remember it? Calvin? Okay, have you guys heard of BODMAS? Okay, that's the order of operations, ne? BODMAS. Now, BODMAS is a very, very important part of mathematics. Even if you can do all of the mathematical functions and apply all of the rules, but you don't do it in the correct order, you will get to the wrong answer. Okay, so the order of operations is represented by BODMAS. Okay, Calvin, can you tell me what the B stands for? Brackets. Tembisile, do you know what the O stands for? Who can help her? Operation, or we say of, ne? OF. Do you know what that represents? It's all of the squares, or all of the exponents, and all of the roots. Okay. Can you tell me what does the D stand for? Division. And the M? And the A? And the S? Okay, the first thing I think that we notice in this sum are the brackets. Do you all see the brackets? And we know that BODMAS says that we have to do brackets first. But let's just look at what's the function of the brackets in this sum. Remember, we use brackets to indicate that this is a part of the sum that you need to do first, before you do other things. But inside of these brackets, there aren't any calculations. So the use of these brackets are only to indicate that it's a negative number, and a negative number. So although we know we do the brackets first, there's nothing to do inside of the brackets. So we can go on to the next. Are there any exponents or roots in this sum? Nothing. So we skip that. Is there a division anywhere? Multiplication? Yes. Okay, so I am sure all of you now know that we're going to have to do this multiplication and this multiplication first. Listen to me. I've seen grade 8 learners do the following. You know that you want to do this first, so you put in brackets there and you put in brackets there. Please don't do that. Brackets are mathematical. They've got a use. If they should have been there, or if someone wanted them to be there, they would have put it in. So you don't put in anything that was not in the sum. If you want to indicate to yourself what you're going to do first, you can do that. Okay, so it's like, it's not something mathematical. I'm not changing the sum. Do you understand what I mean? I'm just showing myself I'm going to do that first. Do you all understand? Okay, so don't put in things that weren't in the sum. Now let's do the multiplication. This is a positive, ne? So what's a positive times a negative? Negative. And what is 4 times 9? 36. Now I go on to the next one. This plus is not part of my calculation. I can already write it there. Okay? It's this plus. Doesn't influence my sum. I'm not using it. What is negative times negative? Is it necessary to write plus? No. What is 3 times 8? 24. So you see what I've done? I have taken, when I indicate these things, I'm saying this whole thing is replaced with 36, negative 36. And this whole thing is replaced with 24. I haven't replaced that plus with anything, so it has to remain there. If you haven't used it, it has to stay there. Do you see now we have to shift from multiplication rules to addition and subtraction rules? These signs differ. Do I add these numbers or subtract them? What is 36 minus 24? 12. Which one is bigger, the 36 or the 24? So I'm using its sign, negative 12. Okay, while you are copying that, you don't have to write what I'm writing now. I just want to show you what I have seen learners do. Some learners know that they are starting with this. So they do this. I'm sure you all understand and know what I've done here. Do you agree with that? Okay? So what learners do is they indicate to themselves what they are doing to get to that answer. And then they indicate, okay, now they're getting to that. And now they say, okay, I'm doing this and getting to negative 12. Do you know what those two lines mean? What does two lines like that mean? Equal to. Equal to means this is the same, exactly the same as this. Now tell me, is this true? And remember, mathematics can get very technical. So it's not me, it's not because I feel like saying this. These are the rules. You are not allowed to do it. Okay? If you do the sum like this, you are saying that 4 times negative 9 plus negative 3 times negative 8 is exactly the same, because you write equal to 4 times negative 9. Is that true? Is this whole thing equal to that? And then you say this one is equal to this, which is fine. But then the negative 36 all of a sudden is equal to negative 3 times negative 8. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm lying when I do it like this. So if you do need to do that part, that's why I tell you do one sum underneath each other. You can use the right hand side and do the rough work there anytime. But the sentence that you write must be equal to the next sentence that you write. So rough work can be done next to it in the exams as well. But with the sum, you go on formally. This must be equal to what you have here. Doesn't matter how many steps you do in that sum. It must be equal to the next one. Okay? Remember, otherwise you're going to get penalized. So in mathematics, how it actually works, especially in senior mathematics, you are allowed to make 2 mistakes. After 2 mistakes, we don't mark with your mistakes. So if I was marking this sum here, I would see that, and you are saying that it's equal to 4 times negative 9, which is wrong. Okay? Now you say this is equal to this. Okay? Now you're saying this is equal to this. There's your second mistake. You don't get any marks further, even though you got to the right answer. They are very, very strict in mathematics. So get it right from today. Right, let's do another example. Example 2. If you compare example 2's brackets with the brackets at example 1, can you see the difference? At example 1, there was nothing in, just the sign and the number. There was no calculation. But this one, we can see there's a calculation inside of it. So we have to start with it. Now yesterday, when we did this with the Afrikaans class, someone asked, when they look inside of the brackets, they know they must do the 3 squared first. Okay? Do you agree with that? But they asked if it's fine if they can do the multiplication as well. And that's fine. You can do 2 steps in one. Okay? But the thing is just, if you have, with this order of operations, if you have, for example, negative 3, or wait, let me do it like this. 3 squared times 2. 3 squared times 2. Do you see now the 2 calculations that we are going to do in this sum? The multiplication and the exponent has to do with the same number. The 3 has to be squared and it has to be multiplied. Here it will be very important for you to do the square first. Because do you agree? You mustn't say 3 times 2, which becomes 6, and then square 6. You must say 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18. Okay. So because this calculation is not influenced by this calculation, you are allowed to do the 2 steps in one. But if they are influenced, only one at a time. Right, so we're going to start I write the -7 because I'm not using it yet. Plus, I use the bracket. 3 squared is 9. Now I have to do the multiplication there. What is a positive times a negative? 4 times 2, 8. Now I have to do the brackets first. 9 minus 8 is 1. 9 is bigger than 8, so it has to be positive 1, right? And -7 plus 1, the signs differ, so I subtract the numbers. It will be 6. 7 is bigger than 1, so I keep 7 sign. Okay. So I want us to start today, and I want you to practice this order of operations. Activity 2.4, once again, on page 35, I want you to do number 2 for tomorrow. And the sums have to be done like we did this example. You write down the sum, and you do it step by step by step. Right. Something else that I want you to do, you can do it in the back of your books. You have to have this and you have to know it. I'm just going to write here on the board so that the ones that's absent can also see. I want you to start with 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, and go up to 13 squared. You understand? With all the numbers in between. I want you to write down the answers at the back of your book. So you're going to say 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared up to 13 squared. You just do it there at the back of your book so that you can get to know it. For squares, you go from 1 to 13. Then I want you just to write down 1 cubed, 2 cubed, up to 5 cubed. And write down their answers. So that will be 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Up to 5 to the power of 3. And then, this is not compulsory, but especially those who consider going on with mathematics, this has to be there. It's for your own good. I want you to also write 2 to the power of 1 is 2. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. 2 to the power of 3, and then you go up to 2 to the power of 10. So that's not hard because you're just going to double the previous answer. But you need to get to know these without using a calculator. Okay. If you don't know them now, you can calculate with a calculator, or you can use your multiplication skills to get to the answers. I would suggest doing that rather than using a calculator. But then every time that you come into the class, just open at the back of your book, quickly read through them so that you can start to get to know them. Alright, so you do this at the back of your book, and then you do number 2 of activity 2.4. You guys can see what you have to do here on the board. You see it here? I'm just going to close here for the ones that's absent so that I can just see the activity again, and I'm going to stop the recording.